Well, hey friends and neighbors, this is Chuck out at Sheraton Park Farms. Welcome back to the farm. It is a beautiful late fall day here in western North Carolina. We're going to move some cows. I'm going to show you our pasture. Late fall, a lot of folks around here, they got brown grass. Feeding hay, feed grain, all that kind of stuff that most everybody does. Well, we don't do stuff just exactly like everybody else does. So hang out with us for a little bit. Let's show you what we got going on. Let's move some cows, talk about feeding hay, feeding grain, why we don't do it, and the advantages of not doing it. Stick around with us for a little bit. Okay, first thing in the morning, come out, we're going to move the cows. This time of year, we've kind of transitioned over. We're moving them earlier in the day than we do during the warmer months when the bricks content of the grass is coming up later in the afternoon. Probably still is somewhat, but this time of year, grass is really slowed down. First thing we come out, got a couple of them laying down, got a couple more up grazing. They're quiet. That's exactly what you want. If you're going out anytime, morning, noon, night, whatever, and your cows are bellowing, there's a problem. Something's going on. But we are end of November, 1st of December. We started this herd off with 20. We're down to 9. We've grazed these guys on about, JW would have to tell us exactly, he's figured it up, on about 20 acres. And all during the season, we have practiced management intensive grazing, rotational grazing, whatever you want to call it. These cows move every day to a new spot. We're in zone 7A, I think it is. Again, end of November, 1st of December. We have not fed the first stitch of hay yet, and are probably not going to have to feed hay at least for a couple more weeks, or unless we get a big snow. And we've still got, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, we've still got green grass. We've got grass over here on this side. We didn't graze them on this side this round through because last time they came through, they grazed this side over here, but didn't graze this over here, so we're trying to balance it out. But, y'all, we could come back here. I mean, look at this. The tips have completely recovered. We're back to sharp, pointy tips. So the grass is recovered, nice and green. Brown in a few places, but overall, this pasture on this side is green. We could get 3 days over here if we needed to, based on the number of animals that we've got. But this whole rotational grazing, moving these animals around every day, has really increased our grass production this year, and has given us the opportunity to be able to feed these animals without any kind of supplement other than mineral. We do have some mineral up here. They've had no hay. They've had zero, absolutely zero grain since these animals came here back in late March, early April. And all of our customers have given us a lot of really positive feedback on the quality of the meat. A lot of these animals, again, we've butchered 11 now. Quite a few of them, don't know the exact number, quite a few of them have gone as wholes, halves, and quarters. The balance has gone as retail cuts. Everybody's been very pleased with everything that they bought so far. So this morning, what we're going to do, we're going to move these critters. We're going to get them down into their next paddock. JW yesterday had set us up a little deal here. We've got a line going here, line over here to their water right down there. So we're going to open them up into this corner over here, so they'll have this and this today, and that should give them plenty of grass to get them through the day. And yeah, let's open them up. Sophie, y'all need to get out of here. Maggie, go on. All right, real quick, like I said, JW set this up yesterday. We've got a lane that comes down here on the right hand side of the paddock where they're going. We had this closed off yesterday because we didn't want them grazing it, and they are opened up down to their water. And the fence is actually, this is just poly wire. We've got it tied into the high tensile fence down at the bottom of the hill that's being energized off of an energizer over here. You can see the roof at the shop. So this reel right here, this is the reel. We're going to pick this one up. We're going to reel it up and back down. That'll give them access to all of this area in here. Plus they'll still have access to their water. Super easy move. It's going to give them a new spot for the day. And then tomorrow we'll do the same thing. We're going to move them one click down, and then we'll set them up. They'll have this area here. Then on the following day, the next spot down, and then after that they're going to go across the driveway into that lower pasture down there. And man, that lower pasture looks absolutely gorgeous. It's just as green as it can be. A few brown spots where we had some pressure with the shade mobile earlier in the year. We've got some heavy manure load on a couple spots. It's fine, it'll recover, no big deal. That's the thing about this kind of grazing, is if you're moving them around, if you have them on a spot that's too small and they overgraze, get them off of it. It's going to come back. If you have them on a spot that's too big, that's fine. Move them the next day. When you come back and hit it again, there'll be even more grass there. So lots of advantages to this, as opposed to just putting these cattle out and practicing what I've heard folks call the Columbus method of grazing. Put them out in the spring and discover them in the fall. These animals are they're easy to move, docile. Just being out here with them every day makes a huge difference. So I'm gonna try to find a place to put this camera, and we're gonna roll this wire up, and I fully expect these animals to just walk right over and start eating a little grass. See what happens. Easy move. Just pulled the wire up, they walked across, and you see what they're doing. They went right to grazing, which is exactly what we want them to do. I've heard it said, and now that we've got them, it makes a whole lot of sense to me. You want these animals working for you, not you working for them. And by that we mean we don't want to be spending any more money on inputs than we need to. These are ruminant animals. They are made to eat grass. They're not made to eat grain. They're not made to eat corn. They're made to eat grass, put on weight, and put on fat from forage. And when you start spending a bunch of money on feed and corn and all that kind of thing, you're working for them. You're out on your regular job, or you're taking your money that you're making on your farm and buying inputs for them. And these animals need to be working for you. That's how you make a profit on them. If I were pouring feed down these critters and going out and buying a ton of feed every few weeks, or I don't know how much you feed them. I have no idea how much you feed them, because they eat what they eat. But if we were having to go out and spend, you know, a couple $100,000 a month on these animals, that's money out of my pocket, and I can't stand that. You know, we're farmers. You know, we don't make a ton of money to begin with, and the last thing I want to do is be pouring it down an animal that I don't need to. These animals have put on weight since they've been here. We've had some beautifully marbled steaks. The taste, the texture is top of the line. I mean, these are good animals, but we've got some pretty decent forage. We got some good grass. We've seen it improve over the season. So these animals are making us money by putting on weight, and they're also making us money by improving our pasture, improving our forage, improving the soil, so that next year We may be able to graze 25, we may be able to graze 30, because we're going to have better forages, as long as the rain holds up. We get, I don't know, 40, 50 some inches of rain here per year. Not like you folks out in the Midwest and Texas that didn't get any rain at all hardly this year. But these animals need to be working for you. We're not, you know, we've got some hay down in the barn. That's another thing. If you're letting your animals open graze all your pasture all the time, and I see this here where we live. Let me turn the camera around. I'm gonna ran a little bit. So just down the road here from us, and I see it driving all over the country, you know, where we live, this county, counties that adjoin. We were at my parents yesterday, and they live in the next county up, and saw farms up there where guys are just, they're open grazing these cattle across the whole farm all year long. And like I said, I think they're following some of that Columbus method. You put them out in the spring and discover them in the fall. You go around and check your fences 2 or 3 times a year, and as long as the fences are good, you just let the animals go. And what we see when we drive by those farms, everything's brown. There's nothing green there. They're feeding hay, they're feeding grain, and I have zero experience grazing cattle. The only things that I know about grazing cattle are what I've read and watched from folks like Greg Judy and Cliff Honus and Joel Salatin and some of those guys, and they've just got a different way. And a lot of folks around here are grazing these animals the way Daddy done it, the way Granddaddy done it, the way, you know, their neighbor does it, and they don't want to break out of the mold because people make fun of it. I've had people tell me that I was crazy. There was no way that we could, you know, raise these animals and put any weight on them on grass. Well, we're getting hanging weights, you know, 550, 600, 650 pounds. And the butchers are telling us that we're 75% efficiency on these animals. And they've not had a stitch of grain since they came. And we've improved our pasture. We're looking forward to next year. We're thinking about maybe doing a little cow-calf stuff. I like the feeders. That's worked out really good for us this year. Bringing them on in the spring, grazing them all year, and then, you know, kind of selling them off as they were finished up and ready to go. So, you know, we've learned a lot. I think we're improving the farm. And I think the long story short is, don't be afraid to try something a little different and kind of step out of that orthodoxy of what everybody else is doing. There are other ways than, you know, just a single way of doing something, like grazing these cattle. You know, put them in small paddocks, move them around every day. Yeah, I know the labor's a little more. I know it takes a little more time. It takes a little more effort. The infrastructure to do it is cheap. You know, a couple rolls of poly wire, you know, 50 or 60 step-in posts. I mean, you can move these animals around. Heck, just split your field in 4 sections and just bounce them around. You know, put them in quadrants and see what happens to your grass. So, you know, just try something different. Don't, you know, if you're trying to farm right, you know, this is better for the land, it's better for the animals. It's just better all the way around. We enjoy the lifestyle. I think I'm rambling now. Anyway, like I always say, please keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.